A warm welcome to Disky Talk with Luyolo. If you're tuning in for the very first time, please do subscribe and hit the notification bell button. If you've been a part of the family, I hope you thoroughly enjoy this episode. On this episode, I am not alone. I'm joined by a returning guest. He goes by the name of Debo. How are you doing, bro?
I'm always good, brother. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Yeah. Lovely to have you on this episode.
Good to be here again.
That's fantastic. And as always, I am your host with the most, and I go by the name of Luyolo. So on this week's episode, it's all things local football. And then we ended off by discussing the CAF and then giving our predictions as to who will advance to the CAF Champions League final. So let's kick it off on the local scene. A lot has been happening with regards to Royal AM and the promotion playoffs.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of controversy, you know, when you take all the things that have been happening with regards to that specific narrative and you tie it up. What do you have to say about the situation with Royal AM?
A circus, a movie.
Yeah.
Call it what you must. I mean, it's just unbelievable for me. The PSL had an opportunity to solve this problem much earlier. The game that was played, in protest is the game that Polokwane City played against Skukune, and this occurred on the 2nd of Jan, this year. So I don't understand. Now we're in June, and why are we still dealing with a case that was supposed to be solved way back? Because if Sikukune were given the 3 points much earlier in March and the case was solved, I don't think we would be in this debacle right now. The problem is it's being solved a week before the Glad Africa Championship comes to a close. AM are thinking we're number one. We're winning this. So psychologically it takes a lot on the players on both sides, and that's where you see Royal AM trying to fight this to the very end, to the bitter end, it seems. And that's affecting the PSL, and that's the PSL. The PSL needs to blame themselves for this, because they are part of the problem. If you solve the cases much earlier, and this is happening every single season.
Every single season. And I don't like seeing what's going on because it's bad for the face of our football.
Most definitely.
But if there's something that I like, is that the bad is finally coming to the fore. We've known that the PSL has been poorly run for so many years. I mean, first of all, we've had an acting CEO for the past 5 years. That doesn't make any sense.
Not at all.
You've got people on the board within the PSL who own clubs within the very same PSL. There's those things which you look at and you think, from a governance perspective, this is not adequate. Something is weird here.
The conflict of interest is clear. The writing is on the wall.
Very clear. And then when you look at it from an administrative perspective, with regards to dealing with issues like this, we've seen this play out multiple times over the years. However, with other instances and other situations, teams got to a point where they realized that, we're not willing to go to court, so it's fine, we'll accept it. But now, here we have Mam Kaizer, right? And not everyone, I'll correct myself by saying that, but you've got a lot of people who feel like Mam Kaizer is being so bitter, she's being so unnecessary, why can't she just accept it and then just go and play the playoffs with Royal AM? I acknowledge that, right? I really do. However, I love the fact that we now have a Mam Kaizer, because she is now challenging the PSL.
Definitely.
And the PSL have never been challenged to this level before, And with a figure like Mam Kaizer challenging the PSL, it then will push them to become introspective.
Exactly.
It will then push them to get to a point where they start doing things in an adequate manner. Because what this does then, it bites them more than it bites anybody else.
It does.
And you're looking at the cost of setting up the promotion playoffs. You're looking at starting the league maybe a bit later now with regards to what's happening, because we don't know, what is happening, what is not happening. And another reason why I then say that the blessing that comes with a figure that is like a Mam Kize is that it will then teach them going forward that we can't take things for granted, and we can't then bully those small teams who don't have the financial muscle to go to court.
Most definitely.
Things have to be done in an adequate manner. And also with her taking a stand, I like it because one thing I've learned about behavior is that behavior never stands still.
True.
It either improves or it worsens. And when you don't punish behavior, it worsens. So in this case, she's become that proverbial parent who's punishing the behavior that we've seen of the PSL over the years.
I mean, it's really unbelievable, and it has a ripple effect. SuperSport lost 800,000, because Royal AM didn't pitch up. Nobody got the entertainment factor, so sponsors are losing a lot of money as well. There's those dynamics, and the PSL needs to really then introspect and think about certain things. Contract, the players the contracts. The contract of the players. Are ending. In 30 June, and that's part of the sort of dynamics that the PSL needs to deal with. And they need to do better, honestly. And I feel as a structure, of course, we need to get rid of some people in that space. They've been there for.
I'm joking. Yeah.
I hope they're listening though.
No, definitely.
They're
watching.
I feel they've been there too long and nothing is changing.
And in conclusion, what I would like to see from this is the National Soccer League running things in a lot more adequate manner. B, I'd like to see them foregoing this whole playoff.
Okay.
And I say that from a sense where I want to see 2 teams from Glad Africa Championship being automatically promoted, and then the 2 teams that finish 15th and 16th within the DStv Premiership get automatic relegation.
I agree with that. I think it's about time. And I don't know why we're still trying to save a team that came 15th.
And they had their 30 games. They had their chances. They had their chances to keep a hold of their status within the DStv Premiership. But I don't know what's the fuss about.
Exactly.
I understand playoffs from the Glad Africa Championship perspective. I just don't understand the relegation. I don't understand that.
It doesn't really make sense.
And that's why I say from this, I hope the birth of automatic relegation and automatic promotion comes to the fore, where we see number 15 and 16 from DStv Premiership go straight down, and number 1 and number 2 from Glad Africa go straight up.
That's it.
So, moving on right along, Orlando Pirates. There's been a lot of talk with regards to the coaching situation. But where we'll start with Mr. Mandla Ncikazi, who has been appointed as a part of the technical team of Orlando Pirates. It's not specified as to what his role is as of yet, which is a bit weird for me when it comes to that. However, what do you make of his appointment?
Sure. I remember me and you spoke about this, and we spoke about golden arrows and in the season. And we were talking about how they play and what Mandla Ncikazi has been able to do with this team. His man management, his assertiveness and the way he wants to play. And the players have bought into that. And you've seen him work with Steve Khomphela previously. And they were able to sort of get the same, impact into the team. He finished 4th this season, which is really good, with the highest points that they've ever accumulated in the history of Golden Arrows. So when you look at it on the Pirates side, it's a plus, right? We don't know what he's doing yet, but him being there is a plus, because we know that he has that impact. He knows football. He's a student of the game, and I love the way his team plays, and I feel that he could add a lot of dynamics into that Orlando Pirates side. So I think it's a positive for Orlando Pirates. Where they're gonna place him, I think we still need to wait and see. I know there's that other pending move. From that other guy.
Other guy. So I definitely have to agree with you on that.
Sure.
That it's definitely a plus for Pirates. And
Yeah.
when the news broke out that he had left Arrows, Golden Arrows, the first team that came to mind was Orlando Pirates.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
when Orlando Pirates came to mind, I saw him as the head coach. You know, as opposed to forming part of a technical team,
Sure.
I saw him steering the ship. You know, I really saw him steering the Sea Robbers ship.
Yeah.
You know, I really saw that because of how well he's done. You know,
Sure.
and
Exactly.
also when you look at the climate within South African football with regards to our own coaches being given a chance at the highest level, we're now starting to see a lot more owners giving South African coaches a chance.
Yeah.
So I thought then, okay, this would be a very good chance for him, you know. But then what stopped me in my tracks with regards to that whole thought and romanticizing Mr. Ncikazi becoming the head coach
Yeah.
is that remembering that, okay, but Fadlu Davids had a very similar season with Maritzburg United,
And then
where he
came-
finished fourth, and he also went to a cup final
Yeah.
where he contested against Free State Stars in the Net Bank.
Yes.
However, with him, he was then made as an assistant coach, you know, which then, yeah, it stopped me. Like, okay, no, maybe that's not going to happen. Maybe they're not going to give him the ropes as of yet. Maybe the long-term view is let's rope him in and let's mold him maybe then for the hot seat
Sure.
one day.
Yeah.
However, the question I want to ask you, right, with regards to that, what do you make of head coaches at mid-table teams going on to become assistant coaches at some of the biggest teams within South African football?
Sure.
Do you think that's crippling our game, or do you think it's strengthening it?
Firstly, I think we have a lot of capable coaches in South Africa.
I agree with you on that.
Known and unknown. So I wouldn't say that.
Like yourself.
Well, I'll let the people decide.
Yeah.
But what I'm really trying to say is that if we say that we're crippling football by taking capable coaches, some of the known capable coaches to be assistants at other teams, could not really be the true reflection of the capacity we have in South Africa. There are people who are waiting to take on those head coaching positions at Maritzburg, at Golden Arrows, and coaches who are really capable. And for us to be able to see the other younger guys coming up is so that these guys could shift and go to bigger teams because they want to make a name for themselves as well. So Ahly Kaizer, they must move to bigger teams, but they won't arrive there and automatically become head coaches all the time. If you look at Ian Goroa, was an assistant coach, before. Gavin Hunt was an assistant coach, then became the head coach. So they still have to earn their badges. Because you also don't want to put them in the deep end
Too soon.
And so just to protect them, put them as an assistant coach, see how they fare out in that position. And Pirates, I think, like doing that. They did the same thing with Rulani. That's why they loaned him out to Chiba.
That was the first.
They know that it was because they understand the potential that is within the space. And you don't want to fire a coach because of bad results, because it's not always a true reflection of what the coach is capable of. And that's where you see where Rulani goes back to a Sundowns and everything changes. A Komphela goes to a Sundowns. Well, he was at Chiefs. Nobody saw his value. He goes to a Sundowns and everything changes. So, and the title doesn't really matter. If he goes there, he will have an impact.
So when it comes to that, this is how I feel about it, right? I just feel that when a coach has been a head coach previously, and they've managed to compete within the very same league where they end up becoming an assistant coach to a bigger team, I don't advocate for that. And the reason why I don't like seeing it is because I just feel that if Mandla Ncikazi, for example, who we're talking about, was able to compete throughout the season, right? Arguably played better football than a Pirates, than a Zimbabwe. Then why is he then I understand that, yes, there's a coach gaining experience. I understand all of that, right? But in a perfect world, why is he then not ready to take the head coach's role? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I hear you.
And within a perfect world, it would be so nice if we had all of these coaches as independent head coaches.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
So
Yeah.
you would have, for example, at Sundowns, you've got Rulani, you've got Steve Khomphela, and you've got Mandla Ncikazi. If you had Mandla Ncikazi as a Sundowns
There's
head coach,
Wendell Abrams as well there. He's a coach.
exactly.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there, you've got potentially two coaches who are head coaches.
Sure.
Not even potential, they are head coaches,
Yes,
you know.
definitely.
So if Mandla Ncikazi goes to his own team within the DSTV Premiership, Rulani goes to his own team, Fadlu Davids goes to his own team, Ncikazi goes to his own team,
Sure.
Simo Dladla, who's just joined Swallows, goes to his own team, and then you have an Eric Tinkler, then you have a Benny McCarthy, and then you have a Gavin Hunt who's going to get, you know, potentially a job soon.
Sure.
We're then looking at a DSTV Premiership which is a lot more competitive
Yeah.
with regards to the coaching,
Sure.
A. B, you then have technocrats, you know, in each and not in each and every single team, but you're looking at least 10 or 11 DSTV Premiership teams where you've got very, very experienced coaches and you've got coaches who can both get the results and also bring out the best from young players.
Definitely.
And in a perfect world, that's what I would like to see. However, because we do not live in a perfect world, I have to acknowledge that when a big team knocks on your door, you know, even if it's as an assistant coach, even if it's as a technical director, most likely you're going to take that, right?
Definitely, exactly.
And also you have to look at it from a financial perspective. You know, it improves your pocket. So you're also going to take that.
Yeah.
So I understand that, you
Sure.
know, I understand it. I just don't advocate for it.
Sure. No, I completely hear you. And it is beneficial to have you know, head coaches that are more distributed instead of centralized. But when you look at the goals that the big teams have, Orlando Pirates, Kaizer Chiefs, Sundowns, they are now and they should be looking at CAF Champions League. And when you're playing around that space and you look at the African teams that are dominating, have more than you know, two coaches who are capable of becoming
head coaches
at their own separate teams. So is that competence and that level is what makes these big teams take that decision.
Yeah, and I also have to acknowledge that it's part and parcel of the modern game.
Yeah.
You know, so the game is getting modernized from a technical perspective with regards to the technical team and how many coaches teams have. You know,
Sure.
And earlier on, you mentioned Steve Khomphela. There's obviously a lot of noise with regards to Steve Khomphela.
Yes.
What do you potentially make of him becoming the head coach of Orlando Pirates if it does come to fruition?
Sure. So you know, I've had a lot of conversations with ex PSO players about Komphela, and the stories I hear, man, he's a workaholic. Although they say he talks a lot in the pre-match analysis.
Yeah.
But he's very detailed in how he approaches the game. I was speaking to Enrico, and he was telling me that the day before he would tell the players about every single weakness of the opposition individually. That player passes with the right foot. This is his body position when he receives. These are his blind spots. This is where we need to press him. The keeper, you know, plays the ball diagonally this way. He's a left-footed player. Press him from the left. You know, it's those little things for me that shows the capacity that he has, and he plays a fatherly role in the team as well. So in terms of man management, he has that capacity. He has very good interpersonal skills.
Yeah, definitely.
And so in terms of managing the players around him, you know, he's very good at that. He's outspoken. He's loud on the sidelines. I think people they call him the presser because he's the guy who's always shouting press on the touchline when a team plays. So he's very vocal. He's loud. His presence is felt. So I think an addition of a Komphela, especially at this time where I feel like he's at his peak as a coach. I feel he's at his peak. However, because he just moved to Mamelodi Sundowns, I feel that the move to Pirates could be premature.
Yeah.
Could be premature. Because Joseph Zimbabwe, as much as he didn't sort of, live up to expectation, you got to look at he has one trophy in the bag. And Orlando Pirates had an 8-year drought before that. Orlando Pirates were maintaining their top 3 positions in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And when you look at that, then you see that perhaps, how do you know Steve Khomphela will get there and change things? What are you expecting him to do better than Zimbabwe? So those are the type of questions that we need to ask. But it's a move that makes sense because there's Ncikazi there. So if he does move, he has his former assistant coach with him.
Fadlu Davis as well, who's worked with Ncikazi as well. Yeah.
Exactly.
And all men who've worked within the KZN.
Definitely.
Landscape.
And you have 3 local coaches. Yeah. Beautiful to see. We'll have to see what happens. And I'd love for him personally. I think it would be a great move. But we'll have to see. And if he moves, he has to be the head coach. He has to be.
Yeah, he has to be, because then if he moves and he's not, then you got three assistant head coaches. What do you call it even? But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that remains to be seen. It's it's very interesting times within DSTV Premiership football, within South African football. And the thing is, usually off season, the talk is normally around the players.
Sure.
Yes, we do talk about coaches who could potentially move and get a new job, but the talk is always around the transfer window and the players. Yeah. But this time around, it's all things coaches.
Talk,
Coaches. Yeah. And moving it from South Africa to a larger landscape, which is Africa, let's discuss all things CAF Champions League. So we'll start with Wydad Casablanca versus Kaizer Chiefs. Do you know that Kaizer Chiefs went to Morocco? They managed to get the 1 away goal.
Sure.
What do you make of that game and how it played out? And what do you think is going to happen in the second leg with regards to how the overall result is going to pan out?
Yeah. Unexpected result. Expected approach. And what I mean by that is, I didn't expect Kaizer Chiefs to beat Wydad away, so unexpected result. But expected approach in a sense that we knew Wydad they were going to keep the ball. They had 12 attempts at goal, I think about 8 shots on target. Chiefs only had 1. So that shows you that Chiefs obviously had the defensive approach. They were actually playing in a 5-3-2 with 3 centre backs, Frosler on the side and Sassman on the left, with Jabulo, Gatsande and Parker playing in the 3, and Castro and Nikovic playing as the strikers. So they kept a very low block, blocked the crosses, because North African teams average about 40 crosses per game. And what Wydad did obviously was expected. They were going to keep the ball, try and knock it around. But their rest defense was bad, and that's where they conceded the goal on the counter. And we expected the Chiefs would score on the counter. Very good in coming out. Jabulo went out, found Nico who was free, and we got saved by VAR. This time around, because the goal was ruled offside initially.
And it wasn't.
So very beautiful to see. And I know people say, "Oh no, Chiefs were playing ugly football. They were defensive." But I think this time around, for me, it's a thing of, you have to play at this point of the competition. You didn't expect to be here, first of all. But now that you're here, play the game.
Yeah.
Play it smart.
Play the game.
Exactly.
And I definitely agree with you on that one. I think what Chiefs did very well for me is how clean their approach was and how well they executed it.
Yeah.
And also how they limited Wydad to attacking through channels that they were comfortable in defending, which is very important.
Sure.
And that alone says to me that they had control. So a lot of fans and a lot of purists will feel like, that was ugly football, that was a bad game.
Exactly.
However, the technocrats, the analysts will analyze it and say, that was a beautiful approach by Kaizer Chiefs.
Yeah.
Especially considering how they set up for how Wydad was attacking them, right? So that's why they started with the 3 centre backs, and also with Sussman's height. You know, considering that he was a lot more tucked in. So it's almost as if at times they had 4 centre backs in a sense with regards to the qualities of the players. Yes, Sussman is a left back. However, he molds a centre back's presence in a sense, you know. Also, when it comes to aerial balls and how tucked in he was. So I love that Chiefs were able to set the trap and get them to play those crosses in because it was easy for them to deal with. And also, speaking of dealing with crosses, I think Bruce Bavuma was absolutely first class in that match. He was my man of the match.
Definitely.
And what I loved about Bruce Bavuma's performance, and this actually comes as a pro of not having the fans at the stadium, you know. We know all the disadvantages of COVID. However, if there's a pro, is we're able to hear the players communicating. You could hear Bruce Bavuma communicate from the first minute to the 90th minute.
Coordinating that defense.
Coordinating. And he was basically Arthur Zwane on the football pitch.
And that's how it's supposed to be. You know, your keeper has the whole view of the field. And that's why it's so important for him to be loudspoken and command the players into the movement, the shifting. And he did that very well. Yeah,
I definitely agree with you on that one. So going into the second leg, what do you see happening? What do you think the result is going to be?
Sure. So what is worrying is that because Chiefs had a defensive approach, but Wydad still managed 8 shots on target in the last game, and Bruce was arguably the man of the match. Then it tells us then, if Wydad could convert those 8 attempts, then we have a problem. Right?
We're looking at a different story.
Exactly. So now if you bring it home, Chiefs can relax on this one. I would say yes, go with a stable defense. Go with a stable defense and break on the counter. Because Wydad has to come to you. They have to open, and they will leave spaces that Chiefs will be able to exploit. So if they stay compact, stay disciplined, and come out well on the counter with good passes, I think they have a chance. I think that's where they have a chance. However, you're talking about a team that's very good on the ball. They will pass it around, be patient, try to, get the ball inside the box as quickly as possible. Because they're a team that gets into the box. Their box entries are really quick. Takes them about 6 to 8 seconds to enter a box. So they're a capable team. They can enter into the final third, and Chiefs must be wary of that. So I'm hoping Chiefs really go into the final. And if they take this approach, keep a compact low block, go out on the counter, I believe they would get a goal and perhaps would have a 2-1 result. I think I predict.
So I definitely agree with you with regards to the approach. You know, I think another thing is whenever in possession and whenever given the chance to counter, they must not rush that. Because I felt that in the first leg they rushed that at times, and they could have converted. They could have converted some of those build-ups into clear-cut chances. You know, where they could have had more shots at goal. You know, so what I love is that I predicted the upset. That Chiefs would cause an upset, and I'm sticking to that. I'm sticking to my guns. Chiefs will play in the CAF Champions League final, and I think going into the semi-final, they have to be very smart with regard to how they do things. And I also think that they shouldn't open it up too early. They should be patient even in defending, because Wydad Casablanca is not a team that's going to go gung-ho from the first whistle. They're going to be very calm. They're going to pass the ball around. They're going to look for those spaces. So Kaizer Chiefs need to sit in compact, you know, and then when the time is right, they break out, you know. And I'm also thinking of how you look at a Mashiane, you look at a Ngobo, how they could also be instrumental in this game to actually hold possession and just buy 5 seconds, you know, win a foul, you know, push the team further up the pitch a bit, take that pressure off the defense. Because
time management will be really important.
Because on another day, 8 shots on target is easily 4 goals. Is easily 3 goals.
Exactly.
You know?
And that's a different picture altogether.
Yeah. So you and I, my brother, are both in agreement that we see Kaizer Chiefs going to the CAF Champions League final.
Yep.
So moving on to the other fixture, we had Esperance versus Ahly. Ahly also managed to get the away goal.
Yeah.
And what did you make of Ahly's performance and win?
That caused a little bit of an upset because they were not comfortable when they had the ball in the first half. ES Toulouse had a couple of opportunities, to score. Luckily, it went in 0-0, through the first half, and obviously spoke to the players. They changed the structure, and you saw Ahly Dieng dictating, and he's the CDM.
Yeah.
He plays as a deep lying midfielder for Ahly, and you saw him dictating play. Very comfortable on the ball.
What a gem of a player.
What a player.
Yeah.
What a six. For me, the best six we have in Africa.
Yeah.
At the moment. And he brought in Afsha, and Afsha is the master of half spaces. He's the one who got the goal that won them the CAF Champions League previously. And he loves playing in the pockets. And you saw when he comes on, his experience and his touch on the ball combining with Ahly Dieng, and that's where Ahly Dieng got that space, going into midfield. What I could say and summarize about Ahly is that they're a well-oiled machine and a well-drilled team, because they think less on the ball, and you saw that in the second half. They dominated possession, they dominated passing, they dominated the field. They were just unbelievable.
They were absolutely phenomenal.
I was just surprised that they couldn't get the second goal.
And I think that boils down to Sheriff's finishing, which on the day wasn't the best. However, when we look at it, I'll start from Al Shanawai, who I think was absolutely phenomenal whenever called upon. Especially in games where you dominate possession, it's very easy for you as a goalkeeper to switch off. But there's this save that he made in the first half around the 35th minute, if I'm not mistaken. It was not necessarily a player taking a shot at goal, but a player. It was when one of the Esperance players, I think it was Khalid, if I'm not mistaken. Khalid had a chance to actually put the ball away, and before he could even shoot, Al Shanawai off his line. He anticipated that very well.
Quality goalkeeper.
Very good goal, very experienced.
Improved, very improved. If you look at him when they played against Sundowns in that 5-0 game, and now improved immensely.
Different player. And another player going into the defense who I was absolutely impressed by is Ashraf. Very comfortable on the ball. Left-footed ball-playing centre-half, which we know is a gem and is a rarity when it comes to world football. Very composed and also very solid at the back. I thoroughly enjoyed how he brings the ball up from the defense, and how he's also able to break the lines with his passing. Very composed.
And Pizzo loves a ball-playing centre-back. You have to have those, as well as with the other guy, Badri. So they make a very good combination at the back.
They definitely do. And then going into midfield, the mainstay, as always, Fati is always, Fati is always he's very solid, very comfortable on the ball, His partnership with Dieng for me is, when you're looking at midfield duos within the African landscape of football, then that for me it ranks right up there, And what I like about Dieng, as much as he's a CDM, but his ability to dictate and play
and go forward as well.
And when you look at it second half, that pass where he splits the defense and he finds Sheriff, and Sheriff finishes, it does come off the post, but he finishes. Well, I think that to me is like, if you want an illustration of what this player could do, that was a great 30 seconds where he picked the ball up from deep, doing the defensive work. He advances with the ball into midfield, then into the final third, plays the pass. That for me was a complete display from a midfielder.
Exactly, and that's when you speak of players that give you verticality. Ahly Dieng is a perfect example. He has the eye for the pass. We spoke about Puskas earlier. He has that eye. He has that sharpness. About him, very comfortable on the ball, and his combination with Fati is very important because they understand each other. Fati becomes the controller, and Ahly Dieng can play both as a defender and a creator. So that's really beautiful to see. as a deep-lying playmaker.
Yeah, I think when it comes to Esperance, that they just weren't able to get Alhouni into the game, their talisman. And, he's a player who likes coming in and playing in that inverted channel.
Sure.
He's a player that is very quick, very skillful. However, I think what Al Ahly did well when they didn't have the ball is how compact they were and how they denied them space to penetrate. Because one can't say that Esperance played badly.
No.
I think that when they were in possession of the ball from defense into midfield, they were very comfortable on the ball.
Sure.
And I think we were watching a world-class game. And a game that we're not really accustomed to when it comes to CAF Champions League football. Both teams put the ball on the ground. They move it really well.
Exactly.
I just think Esperance couldn't penetrate. And I think going into the second leg, Alhouni is going to be very instrumental, and Khalid up front as well.
Yeah.
Those two players will be instrumental to making sure that they're able to penetrate. It remains to be seen if the coach will go with Togai, who started on the right flank. He's also a key player with regards to being able to penetrate into that final third, create a goal or get a goal, So I really look forward to the second leg. I still think that a lot of football still has to be played.
Definitely.
However, my prediction is Al Ahly will be playing against Kaizer Chiefs in the final of the CAF Champions League.
Definitely. Same here. And I feel for ES Toulouse, Koulibaly would be one of their main players.
In midfield.
In terms of going forward and building up play. Because I feel that Ahly will have a mid-block because they're at home. They will still want to dominate, but not open it too much. But from that possibility, I think they have a chance of hitting one on a counter. In the first half, I think they'll get a goal in the first half, and that would make ES Tunis' job very difficult. To come back from there, just manage the game. Have Afsha, El Shanawi, and Fatin Aludieng just to control the game. But I see Ali going through to the final.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Our predictions. Both Nuo and I agree on something, which is Al Ahly to play Kaizer Chiefs in the CAF Champions League final. However, it will be the semi-finals coming up this Saturday with Al Ahly playing at home against Esperance. And then we've got Kaizer Chiefs at home hosting Wydad Casablanca. Both matches very interesting. And I thoroughly look forward to both encounters. And to conclude with regards to CAF Champions League football, from a tactical perspective, we saw two teams control a football game in different ways. Kaizer Chiefs from a defensive perspective, Al Ahly from an offensive perspective. That's what I thoroughly enjoyed about the CAF Champions League.
Most definitely. The comparison and the juxtaposition between the two is beautiful to see, and that's what football is about. Different phases of the game, and teams using all the football principles at their disposal to win matches, because that's what it's about, entertainment and winning matches.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's a reason why this man is the coach with all the footballing intelligence and insight that he holds, I thoroughly enjoy whenever he comes onto the episode to bless us with his knowledge. My brother, thank you very much for coming through. I look forward to having you very soon.
Always good to be here.
Yeah. So, we've come to the end of yet another special episode of Disky Talk with Luyolo. I thoroughly enjoyed this one. Signing out.